had never had a relationship
Exactly.
because I do not think Mr. Fuller is my child's biological father.
That's correct,
So you
Your Honor.
feel like all of this emotion and attachment is almost by default. How can this be possible? Because there's the man in prison and there's Vincent Preston Nelson, and then you say you were at the hospital. When you have a child by someone, you're not married to them. If they're married to someone else, that person by default becomes a part of your child's life.
Brace yourself, folks. This one's a doozy. Mr. Fuller and his mom are here to prove that he fathered Ms. Nelson's 2-year-old daughter, Milani. But hold on to your seats, because Ms. Nelson is certain that Mr. Fuller is not the father and is ready to prove it in court. The tension is already thick in the air.
Mr. Fuller, you and your mother are here today to prove that you fathered the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Milani.
Yes, ma'am.
You say Ms. Nelson led you to believe.
Ms. Nelson is not holding back, folks. She boldly declares that if the DNA results prove her right, the Fullers will never see her daughter again. Wow, that's a harsh statement considering the bond they've built with little Milani. This case is about to get intense.
Ms. Nelson, you acknowledge Mr. Fuller's relationship with your daughter, but say you are now certain that he is not your child's father and will prove it in court.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Nelson, what are your intentions today if the DNA results prove you're correct?
They will never see my daughter again, and their time just has expired with my child.
Wow. That's kind of harsh considering they have a relationship with her, isn't it?
Barely.
Mr. Fuller claims to have a strong bond with Milani. He even says that Ms. Nelson would bring her to him and let her stay the night for months. But hold on a second, folks. Ms. Nelson disagrees and says it was only a few weeks. Who's telling the truth here?
You guys had her for
Whenever
a few
she
weeks.
need us
No, we
to
don't.
need.
You had her
I
for
don't-
a few weeks.
Ms. Fuller, I need to ask you, do you believe this is your son's
From
biological
day one, when
child?
this girl called me, I said, "Oh, I'm a grandmother." I said,
I never
Miss
called you.
Nelson,
I never even had
I
your number
promise
to get in
God,
contact
I
with
wouldn't tell you no lie.
So, Ms. Nelson,
Right.
as you recall, how did you let Mr. Fuller know you were pregnant?
Ms. Fuller, Mr. Fuller's mom, is convinced from day one that Milani is her grandchild. She even received a call from Ms. Nelson herself saying she was pregnant. But wait, Ms. Nelson denies ever calling her. Who's telling the truth? The plot thickens.
Ain't that you asked us to do for this
always
baby?
here
We've
for
been there
this
for
baby.
this baby.
You guys have been there as far as now with my
Always.
financial situation.
come on, the
Other than that,
Okay,
you guys
come
do
on.
nothing for
Okay,
my child.
let's get some order.
You
You
do nothing
know.
for my child.
Let's get some order.
Nothing.
I don't know why you
don't do a
changed
thing for
all
my
of
child.
a sudden, but you never act like this with us. So I don't even know why you doing this. You
Ms. Nelson claims that she let Mr. Fuller know about her pregnancy through Facebook messages. But hold on, folks. She says she never called his mom. The drama is heating up, and we're only scratching the surface.
Ms. Nelson, as much as Ms. Fuller is
What?
off the hook right now,
like,
I really can't blame her because if I thought I had a grandchild, they spending a month at my house, whatever. And then all of a sudden somebody tells me it's not my grandchild, I might be off the hook too. Why is it you believe he's not the father?
From day one, I never believed that he was the father.
Ms. Nelson reveals that she was in a relationship with another guy when she got pregnant, but guess what? She also slept with Mr. Fuller during a break with the other guy. Oh, the tangled webs we weave. Who could be the father?
5 or 6 months old, I was at work. I was with someone, in a relationship with someone, and they were...
So now at 5 months old, when the child's 5 months old, you're in a new relationship.
No, I was in a relationship before him.
Oh, before Mr. Fuller.
Me and the other guy was just on a break. So he
So
did
you
something
slept
that
with
happened.
Mr. Fuller when you were on a break
Right,
from another
just
guy.
something-
Ms. Nelson drops a bombshell. She claims that her family member went behind her back and allowed the Fullers to have a relationship with Milani. But wait, Ms. Fuller says that they were invited to see the baby. Who's telling the truth? The truth is stranger than fiction, my friends.
Some secret, like
we
I'm
didn't
going
know.
behind
I
her.
didn't know. He didn't know anything.
So you think
everything was like a hush hush.
So Miss Nelson, did you ever say, I know my mother reached out to you, that was behind my back. You're really not Milani's biological father. Did you ever say that?
I did tell them that he was not, I told Devontae that he was not her father.
We've got some evidence, folks. Mr. Fuller has brought in text messages to prove his relationship with Ms. Nelson. Oh, the drama unfolds. The messages are filled with I love yous and references to our baby. Looks like Mr. Fuller truly believed he was the father.
Do you have any proof that she told you that you were the father?
Yes, Your Honor. I
You
got
do?
proof right here.
I'd like to see that. Ron, can you hand me that?
Yes, ma'am.
These are text messages.
Yeah.
So from Miss Nelson, I see a message that says, we made a beautiful little angel.
And we have a picture, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Fuller proudly shows a picture of himself with Milani, claiming she looks just like him. The resemblance is uncanny, but will it be enough to convince Ms. Nelson?
Next page, Devontae Fuller sends a message, beautiful BM, and then Ms. Nelson sends, thanks, BD. Sounds like to me you're communicating about the baby like it's his. Now this last piece of evidence in the folder is a picture. And this is a picture of you, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, you are.
And Milani?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, folks. We've got a surprise guest. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Fuller's mom, takes the stand. She believes wholeheartedly that Mr. Fuller is Milani's biological father. The tension in the courtroom is palpable.
To my household, my house where I live.
But if your
We
mama,
came
if,
to the con-
if
we
your
came
mama
to the
got a
house.
Come to
contract,
my house. I
called
didn't.
us and told us
But
to
you
come
come to my
over
house
and
while
see
I'm
the
at
baby.
work.
She was in
While
the
I'm
car
at
with us.
work.
She called us
While I'm at
and
work,
I
though.
told her.
Okay.
I told
But
her,
listen.
no, I don't think we should come because it's gonna cause
Okay, so
problems.
then you knew.
And she said, no, y'all gonna come and see the baby.
Okay,
I don't care.
hold on.
Ms. Johnson reveals that Ms. Nelson's family member allowed the Fullers to see the baby behind her back. Oh, the plot thickens. But Ms. Nelson argues that she never wanted the Fullers to have a relationship with Milani. This is getting intense.
Ms. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Do you believe Mr. Fuller is Milani's biological father?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Why do you believe your daughter cannot even believe that's a possibility that he's her biological father? What do you think this is about?
The other guy.
The other guy.
When her and the other guy get
The court is in chaos, folks. Emotions are running high and everyone is arguing. Ms. Nelson is adamant that Mr. Fuller is not the father, while the Fullers are pleading their case. Can't we all just get along?
Mr. Fuller's baby. When her and Mr. Fuller's not speaking, then it's the other guy's baby.
Oh,
Dude.
so she tells the other guy it's his baby too.
Well, the other guy
He's
said
been in
once
her life
before
from
that it
birth.
wasn't his baby.
So, Ms. Nelson, do you believe he's not the father, or do you just not want him to be the father? Because that's
Both.
two different things.
No, it's both. I don't want him.
Judge Lake steps in to restore order and get to the bottom of this paternity dispute. She questions Ms. Nelson's motives and the role her mother played in all of this. The truth is about to be revealed.
Ms. Nelson, it's borderline cruel the way you're acting. I mean, there is a part of me that truly wants to understand your position, but I can't get anything from you. I mean, they are over there crying.
She wanted a relationship with my child. I was not even gonna let her be a part. She was like, I don't care if this is not my grandbaby. I
Let her
want a
speak.
relationship with this child.
Judge Lake reveals an interesting piece of evidence. Ms. Nelson has Mr. Fuller listed as baby daddy Devontae in her phone. Wait a minute, if she never believed he was the father, why the nickname? The courtroom is buzzing with anticipation.
Feeling pressure. But it would have been my first choice if they had never had a relationship,
Exactly.
because I do not think Mr. Fuller is my child's
Correct.
biological father.
That's correct,
So you
Your
feel
Honor.
like all of this emotion and attachment is almost by default.
And she's acting like I
Because I don't understand how you so angry with two people that love your child so much.
I'm not angry at them, but they have not been there. They have not been there.
The tension is at its peak as Judge Lake announces the DNA results. Will Mr. Fuller be proven to be Milani's father, or will Ms. Nelson's claims be validated? Let's find out.
Mr. Fuller, you are not her father.
I knew it. I knew who I slept with. I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, you're gonna take this baby from us.
You should apologize regardless.
It's
I-
not just
I-
my fault.
I thought-
You played a part in this too because it was your fault
you
for
was-
going behind my back, leading them on to believe
Leading
that.
them on,
when
'cause
I
we-
knew.
Our case today revolves around Ms. Thomas and Mr. Nelson, a couple who had been together for 6 years and had 5 beautiful children. But hold on to your seats, folks, because things are about to get messy.
Ms. Thomas, you claim you spent 6 years in a relationship with the defendant, Mr. Taylor, and gave him 5 beautiful children. In return, he cheated on you and is now questioning the paternity of your youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai.
Ms. Thomas claims that Mr. Nelson cheated on her throughout their relationship, and now he's denying paternity of their youngest child, 8-month-old Jakai. Can you believe it? 5 kids, and he's questioning the last one.
Is because he recently got married.
Is that true, Mr. Nelson?
No, it's not, Your Honor. It was good in the beginning when we first started having children. And then after that, it's like me and her started like both doing our own little thing. And we was already about to split, but she ended up getting pregnant. But at that time, she was already messing around with other guys. So I didn't know what to believe.
But wait, there's more. Mr. Nelson is now married to another woman, Ms. Campbell. Talk about a love triangle. This case has more twists and turns than a roller coaster, folks.
But I was not sleeping with different men. Mr. Nelson was the only one that I was sleeping with at the time, especially during my conception dates.
Man, that's
But
not
when
true.
you first got together, what was your relationship like?
Our relationship, it was good. That was my best friend. We did everything together.
Take your time. I know it's hard. You have.
Yana, we was both young at the time.
Ms. Thomas believes that Mr. Nelson is denying their baby because he recently got married. Can you blame her for thinking that? I mean, who wants to be the other woman?
It's because it was his cheating, Your Honor. He cheated on me throughout almost our whole entire relationship.
So, Miss Thomas, why put up with that?
We went through hard times. Like, why wouldn't you want to make something like that work with somebody you had all these years with, all these kids
Because it's
with,
too much,
and you
too
just
much
want to?
cheating. That's why I don't even know the chat. Like, man.
He gave up the relationship. I wish it was that easy for me.
All right, let's hear from Mr. Nelson himself. He claims that Ms. Thomas was the one who cheated on him with another man. Oh boy, it's a he said, she said situation, folks. Ms. Thomas is not backing down, though. She says that Mr. Nelson cheated on her throughout their entire relationship. Can you imagine the heartbreak? No wonder she's determined to prove paternity and win him back.
So then I left and went to North Carolina, so I was like, I'm gonna give you another chance. And she was like, all right. I said, so you're gonna delete everything out your phone and everything, change your number and everything.
So wait a minute,
She
you
did
had
that.
4 children together, and then you find out Miss Thomas is with another guy?
Yes, that's
How
what I'm
did you
trying to-
find that out?
The dude picture was popping up on her phone.
It didn't start like that. He decided to leave because at that
Why'd I
time
leave, though?
we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff on her purse and everything. She was like, I'm going to work today.
Hold on, folks! We're about to hear some explosive revelations. Mr. Nelson admits to sleeping with Ms. Thomas even when he was married to Ms. Campbell. Oh, the drama. This love triangle just got even messier.
You all were in love, it was against
We
all
were.
odds.
We were.
So what is this, why then do you start having other men popping up on your phone?
It wasn't men, it was that one man. Not men.
And why? Why did you get in a relationship with this one man? As retaliation for his cheating?
Basically. So he seen how I felt all them years he cheated on me. He felt it. And
So
so
how long had you all been together when you discovered she was cheating?
But wait, there's more. Ms. Thomas has receipts. She shows text messages where Mr. Nelson confesses his love and desire to be with her. Oh, the plot thickens. This is like a soap opera, but even better.
negative. So I was not pregnant. I also had an app on my phone tracking my periods when I'm ovulating, and I have it right here.
Jerome, let me see that evidence.
Man, you can't go like that. Your Honor.
So you were tracking your cycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's bring in Ms. Campbell, the woman caught in the middle of this love triangle. She found a video of Mr. Nelson and Ms. Thomas together. Talk about a shocking discovery. Can you imagine the emotions running through her?
You remember those dates, Mr. Nelson?
No, I do not, Your Honor. When I got back from North Carolina, I had went through her phone. She was like, every time I had sex with him, and this is after you left, I started having sex with this guy. So I was like, all right. So then I went back further in her calendar. I'm like, so what's these days for? She was like, because I said, so we was together then when you was doing it. She was like, okay, so well, I had a slip up.
He was gone, Your Honor.
So wait a minute, how did you find out about the other guy exactly?
Ms. Campbell confronts Mr. Nelson about the video, and he admits to his infidelity. Oh, the betrayal. Mr. Nelson's behavior is detestable, and it's tough for Ms. Campbell. But this is the kind of drama that we're here for, folks.
When you found out that your husband was now sleeping with his ex?
It's a video I found. The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been I guess the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around, and she was kind of like high stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposedly supposed to be so hurt. Like, why is she grinning?
All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, the DNA results. Will Mr. Nelson be proven to be the father of 8-month-old Jakai? The tension is through the roof. Judge Lake, the floor is yours.
Mr. Nelson, you are the father. It's number 5.
I met him and he already had, 4 kids with her. So what's one more?
I'll tell you what one more is. One more means this isn't over. This child deserves to know his father. His father's gonna have to come visit him. His father is still sleeping with.
We've got Miss Nelson, who grew up believing one man was her father, only to find out there's another man listed on her birth certificate. And yes, folks, we've got yet another person named Nelson in court today. Just when she thought things couldn't get any crazier, a third man pops up on Facebook claiming to be her dad. Can you imagine the shock?
Ms. Nelson, you say you grew up believing one man was your father, yet had another man listed on your birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then, after you turned 30 years old, told a third man, the defendant, suddenly contacted you on Facebook claiming he was your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Nelson explains that she visited the man listed on her birth certificate who happened to be in prison. She believed he was her dad her whole life. But then, during a trip to New York, he drops a bombshell. He tells her that her mom didn't want someone like him in her life, so she put another man's name on the birth certificate. Can you imagine the confusion and hurt she must have felt?
Today, you say you hope DNA test results will finally reveal the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sterling.
Yes, ma'am.
You're here with your daughter and say it was she who helped you find Miss Nelson.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim today you will reveal why another man's name is on Miss Nelson's birth certificate and prove to her you are indeed her father.
Yes, ma'am.
But wait, it gets even more mind-boggling. Miss Nelson receives a message on Facebook from a man named Christopher Lancaster, claiming to be her father. She tries to call the numbers he left, but they're disconnected. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Who is this Christopher Lancaster, and why is he reaching out now?
It was a man that was in prison. My mother took me to visit him weekend after weekend, week after week, and this is the man I grew up knowing that he was my father. I had went to New York to visit this man for 2 weeks, and he told me that this other man was on my birth certificate because my mom didn't want somebody like him in my life.
Hold on tight, folks, because here comes the plot twist. It turns out that Christopher Lancaster is actually Christopher Sterling. That's right, he used a different name on Facebook because of some problems in his life. But get this, he claims to be Miss Nelson's real father. Can you believe it? We've got a long-lost father stepping into the picture.
Saying he's your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain.
I got a message from a man named Christopher Lancaster saying that I'm your dad. He was sorry for not being in my life, and he now wants to be in my life. And he left 2 numbers on there. I contacted both those numbers. Both the numbers were disconnected because it was 4 months prior that he had left me the message. It was in my others box on Facebook.
Now, Miss Nelson has never seen Christopher Sterling before in her life. She only knew the man listed on her birth certificate and the man in prison. But here he is, standing before her, claiming to be her dad. The emotions are running high, and we can't help but feel for Miss Nelson. This is a moment she's been waiting for her whole life.
Was worked.
May I see that evidence, please? Jerome, please
Yes,
hand
sure.
it. Thank you. Well, I know you don't know who I am, but I'm your father. I'm so sorry for all of the years I have missed you growing up. What were you thinking when you get this message?
Your Honor, honestly, I didn't even know what to think because it was like,
Oh, folks, get ready for some family drama. Miss Nelson's sister, Amberlynn Sterling, joins the courtroom. She's Mr. Sterling's daughter, and she's got some doubts about Miss Nelson being her sister. Can you imagine the tension in that room? It's like a soap opera come to life.
Did anything lead you to believe other than what you had been told?
my mom always told me that the man on my birth certificate, Vincent Nelson, was my father. This is what my mom told me. But this other man that was in prison told me that that wasn't true. He was my father.
And now, yet another message.
It's coming through from Christopher Lancaster saying this man was my father.
Mr. Sterling has been searching for his daughter for years, remembering her birthday every year and longing to be a part of her life. It's a heartwarming reminder that family bonds can be incredibly strong, even when they've been tested by time and distance.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes, sure.
your entire life, you hadn't heard of Christopher Sterling or Christopher Lancaster.
No, Your Honor. The only person I knew of was Vincent Nelson and the man who said he was my dad. Those were the only two people I knew of my entire life.
And Mr. Sterling, you're saying that this was a pretty deep relationship you had with her mother.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA test results are here, and they hold the truth that will change everything. Will Mr. Sterling finally get the confirmation he's been seeking? Will Miss Nelson find the closure she's been longing for?
Mr. Sterling, you are her father. This is exactly why I get up in the morning.
All right, folks, we're diving into the case of Simmons versus Burgess. This one is a real roller coaster ride, so buckle up and get ready for some wild twists and turns. Our plaintiff, Ms. Simmons, claims that the defendant, Mr. Burgess, begged her to have his baby and then disappeared when she told him she was pregnant. But hold on tight, because Mr. Burgess has his own side of the story, and it's about to get heated.
When you told him you were pregnant. So you're here to prove to Mr. Burgess and his fiance that he is your son's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Burgess, you say your relationship with the plaintiff was just a quick fling, and Ms. Simmons wants you to take care of another man's baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Simmons, you are 20 years old. How did you get involved with a man that's almost twice your age?
Ms. Simmons, a 20-year-old, got involved with a man almost twice her age. They started talking online, and before you know it, things got hot and heavy real quick. And when I say quick, I mean quick.
We was talking online at first, and we was talking over the phone, and he had told me he was single and everything. And then I had came to his house and everything. And the first day I did come to the house, so we did have sex on the first day. So we just was kicking it ever since then.
Did you use protection?
We was using condoms, but they kept breaking, so we stopped using condoms.
Okay.
Within just 3 hours of meeting each other, they were already getting down and dirty. Talk about moving fast. But hey, love works in mysterious ways, right?
So if you were having sex and the condom kept breaking, how is it that you can definitively say you are not Malachi's biological father?
I had my doubts, you know, from her coming over there the first time I seen her, you know, and we chopped it up as soon as she came over there.
How often did you have sex, Ms. Simmons?
We was always having sex.
That's not true, Your Honor. When I met online.
Now, here's where things get really spicy. These two were using condoms, but apparently they kept breaking. I mean, seriously, what are the odds? It's like they were playing Russian roulette with their contraception.
He's not telling the truth, Ms.
No,
Simmons.
he lying. He lying. I was there almost every day. I was at his house all the time.
Maybe 3 times a week.
You a lie.
I was working. I wasn't leaving her in my house.
No.
So my question is, if you were having sex with her and she says the condom was continuously breaking to the point where you all just stopped using them, how is it that you can definitively say that you are not Malachi's biological father?
Mr. Burgess, on the other hand, claims that they didn't have sex as often as Ms. Simmons says. He says it was only 2 or 3 times a week for a couple of months. But hey, who are we to judge? We'll let the court decide who's telling the truth here.
Oh, you've brought an exhibit.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, step over to it, please. Let me see.
Okay. See, 3 is meaning when she came to my house, the first time she ever came to my house, it was within 3 hours of us having sex. You know, that's very quick.
Numbers don't lie, you said.
True.
Okay.
Okay. 1, the time that we actually had unprotected sex.
Now let's fast forward to the moment of truth. Ms. Simmons finds out she's pregnant and decides to break the news to Mr. Burgess. And boy, oh boy, did things take a turn. Mr. Burgess, upon hearing the news, starts questioning everything. He's like, how do you know it's mine? We need to get a DNA test. And just like that, the relationship went from hot and heavy to cold and uncertain.
You got going on with somebody else.
You know
That
what I'm
ain't
saying?
did my body.
That's why I said it's a 0% chance of me being that baby father. You know what I'm saying?
So let me understand this. 3 hours after you met, you had sex.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
one day after you had that sex, she said she was pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
So you had sex, and then the next day she says, I'm pregnant.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you say it's 4,840 days of unprotected sex. Oh,
But hold on tight, folks, because this is where it gets even juicier. Ms. Simmons starts digging into Mr. Burgess's life and finds out he's engaged to another woman. Talk about a love triangle. This is straight out of a soap opera.
You know I ain't lying.
You lying. You been lying
Look.
since you stepped here.
Who-
all right. So I
who-
want to move on to the pregnancy. Ms. Simmons, when you found out you were pregnant, did you tell Mr. Burgess?
First of all, the man asked me, even though we was having sex at the time, he was like, I want you to have my baby. I want to have a daughter because I already have a son.
Got it.
And I want you to have my daughter
She lying.
because I'm a lie.
And just when you think things can't get any crazier, Ms. Simmons confronts Mr. Burgess's fiancée, Ms. Arnold, over the phone. It's a showdown of epic proportions, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
And he's like, oh, I'm just going with some homies. Lies.
Some homies.
Lies.
She lying. Not only that, Your Honor, why would I want to have a child by somebody I don't even know their name? I didn't even know this girl's real name until she told me this baby was born.
You didn't know her real name?
She told me her name was Mia. That's what all I knew, Mia.
Because, like, I was like, shoot, I don't really know you like that. So I was like, you know.
Y'all lying about names and having unprotected sex?
Will Mr. Burgess step up and take responsibility for this child, or will he continue to deny his involvement? All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Mr. Burgess, you are the father.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Miss Simmons, don't clown. Don't clown.
I'm sorry.
Don't clown. This is something that you needed. And Mr. Burgess, you still aren't talking. You look worried.
Enter Sheila Dennis, a young woman who has been searching for her biological father for a whopping 23 years. Can you imagine the anticipation? She's never seen him, never spoken to him, and all she has are pictures from her mother's wedding. Talk about a mystery waiting to be solved.
I requested that you meet me in my chambers because after I read your court file, I was truly touched by what I read. I realize that you've been searching for your father since you were 12 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
The man you believe.
But hold on to your hats, folks, because Mr. Dennis, the man Sheila believes to be her father, is denying it all. He claims that he is not her biological dad and that her mother misled her all these years. Oh boy, the tension is building, and we're just getting started.
But you have never seen him. You have never spoken to him. You have never heard his voice.
Not one time.
And so today will be the very first day you will do that. And I wanted to make sure you were okay and you were prepared.
I'm nervous, I really am, because all I've known of him is these pictures that I've had my entire life.
And these are
pictures of my mother.
Mr. Dennis drops a bombshell, alleging that Sheila's mother cheated on him while he was working as a truck driver. He even caught her on a boat with her ex-boyfriend. Can you believe it? The drama is reaching new heights, and we're just itching to find out what really happened.
Miss Dennis, today will be the very first day you've ever laid eyes on the man you've known to be your father.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to make clear that you understand that he denies that he is your biological father.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, here's where things get really juicy. Mr. Dennis claims that he requested a DNA test, but Sheila's mother denied it. Can you imagine being in his shoes, constantly paying child support and not knowing for sure if you're the father? It's a roller coaster of emotions, folks.
And you truly believe that Mr. Dennis, who stands here at the defendant podium, is your biological father?
Correct.
Tell me what you learned and why you believe this to be true.
Well, I've had pictures my entire life. I've been looking at them since I was very little. I feel that I look exactly like him. I have his nose, his cheekbones, his eyes. My mother says that I look just like his mother when she was younger.
All right, let's hear the other side of the story. Sheila's mother couldn't be here in person, but we have her on the line. She denies cheating and insists that Mr. Dennis never asked for a DNA test. Oh, the plot thickens. We've got a he said, she said situation, and we're on the edge of our seats.
By herself on an antique wooden boat with her ex-boyfriend, while her children are up on the bank.
And so you believe your wife at the time was cheating
Yes, ma'am.
while you were on runs as a truck driver.
Yes, ma'am. Trying to make a living
How
for
soon
her and the
after
family.
that did you find out her mother was pregnant?
Wait a minute, folks. Sheila's mother claims she sent pictures to Mr. Dennis's parents, but he says he's never seen them. Can you believe it? We've got a pile of pictures right here, and Mr. Dennis is seeing them for the first time. Talk about a shocking twist.
I was living in a different state, but it would be every 2 weeks, 2 hours, supervised visitation.
And so you have never seen Ms. Dennis?
No, ma'am,
in
I have
person.
not till today.
This young woman who has believed her entire life that you're her biological father, you were married to her mother,
Yes, ma'am.
you have never laid eyes on her.
Never have.
Until this day, this moment.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Sheila and Mr. Dennis come face to face for the very first time. The emotions are running high, and there's not a dry eye in the house. It's a mixture of relief, regret, and a whole lot of love. Grab your tissues, folks, because this is a tearjerker.
That you did not have sexual relations with this person while you were married to Mr. Dennis.
Absolutely. I never had sexual relations with anyone but the man I was married to.
Ms. Dennis, have you ever heard anything about this other man? That there be another possibility?
All right, folks, it's time to reveal the results of the DNA test. Will Mr. Dennis be proven to be Sheila's biological father, or will it be another shocking twist? The tension is unbearable, and we're holding our breaths.
Mr. Dennis, you are the father.
I'm sorry for all the wasted years.
You don't have to thank me. They call me Your Honor, but it is truly my honor. You now have the truth, and you know now that the denial doesn't have to be there.
Right.
You know that you can have a relationship with your daughter. You can be there for her.